Thank you. Really pleased with the some of the things we did in the first half. Thought were very good. Obviously, I thought the second half we weren't maybe as efficient, but all in all, pretty solid. Obviously, we get a big step up with Syracuse this week in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, which unfortunately all good things must come to an end, and this will be the last year of that challenge. And I think it's one of the elite events that obviously ESPN has been a part of for a number of years, and it's been one of the elite events for them in the first semester. So excited to put our guys out there against one of the all-time greats, and Jim Boeheim and his Syracuse team. They're always going to be an NCAA tournament caliber team, so we're preparing like that, and expecting to have to play very, very well to win the game. So again, it's exciting to have that game here at home and in front of our fans, and hopefully we'll go out and play well.
I mean, with ESPN announcing that Big Ten ACC was over, I mean, did that surprise you this morning, or did you maybe sense that was coming after the change in media rights?
No, I think it's just expected. I think there's no like I said, every good thing must come to an end, and obviously the new media rights deal was a big part of that, I would assume, and we'll have to go find a game elsewhere then.
Coach, handling their 2-3 zone, major storyline, obviously, but is that something that you've worked on prior, or you just start taking a look at it leading up to this game?
No, we've worked on it since the early practices. I mean, we've that's one of the things you never know in league play is how much zone you're going to see, and when you're going to see it, and we get coaching changes, and we have seen some, we haven't seen a ton. Obviously, it's what Jim does, and Syracuse has been known for, and we'll have to execute against it, have to make some shots, and move the ball and do all the things that you have to do against the zone to beat it.
In that Lindenwood game on Friday, you see a little bit of the sloppiness with 22 turnovers. Is that something that you've kind of emphasized to the guys about taking care of the ball going into a tougher matchup tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we're 35th in OER in the country in KenPom. We'd be half that if we didn't turn the ball over. We've got to clean that up, and so many of them are just unforced. So many of them are just. There's good turnovers and there's bad turnovers, and 2/3 of ours are bad turnovers. They're not forced, and it's still the idea of playing fast, playing with pace, and yet you got to find a balance in that. But there's no doubt. Games moving ahead and starting tomorrow night, we can't do that.
I guess just with Matt over the last couple weeks, it seemed like his 4 games kind of improved, just sort of passing and rebounding. Have you kind of seen a difference from him after kind of getting comfortable with everybody at this point in the season?
Well, yeah, and I think it's not easy to be in a system 4 years and shift gears all of a sudden and just say, hey, this is going to be easy, and it's not. And his role is on our team is still growing, it's still forming, it's still we need his scoring. We need his we saw in the games in Vegas, his rebounding, his playmaking. We need all of that stuff, and so he's starting to get really comfortable. His practices are very consistent. He's been playing well in practice. It was nice to see the ball go in for him because I know he's been pressing. He's been working hard on that. We all know what a good shooter he is, and the ball just wasn't going in for him. So it was great to see that, and in a game when we've been seeing that in practice.
With a hole in the schedule moving forward without this game, would you like to see another kind of challenge with, I don't know, maybe the Big 12s out there? Do you think Gavitt games will continue, or would you like to just have the freedom to schedule whoever you want?
I mean, the one thing with I think we have one more year left on the Gavitt. I think the thing that is those things get out of our control. TV sets a lot of those. This was ESPN's event. If somebody wants to put those together, I'm not saying we wouldn't be for them or against them. I think they're great games. I think they're great opportunities to play quality opponents in front of your home fans every other year. And I think it's, it was good for everybody involved. It was good for the ACC. I think it was great for ESPN. And I think it was very good for the Big Ten. So what happens, I don't know. We're going to set about to fill that void with another high major game and start another series. And it's just one quality opponent that we've got to go fill on our schedule now.
It's before you came here, was Big Ten ACC Challenge something you, kept tabs on?
Sure. Everybody knew what those games were, and those were always great games. And you always follow that on it was a week-long performance for both conferences, and 5 nights of great quality basketball. And that's one of the things that no matter what league you're in, you always knew when those games were on, and you always paid attention because they were going to be really top-flight matchups.
Rich, what have you seen on film from their big man, Jess Edwards? I think seems like he's impactful around the rim on both ends.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot anything that's not at the rim. He's a very, very good offensive rebounder. He reminds me a little bit of the big kid from Virginia, and that he goes to the offensive glass. That he's got length. He can dunk balls. He's mobile. He likes to get to that left shoulder and shoot jump hooks. Can catch lobs, and he's an effective shot blocker. So he's like anybody who's going to play in the middle of that zone. He's going to affect shots with his shot blocking ability, and but a good player, and he's been around. He's been in that program.
I doubt you'll see anybody this year slower than Virginia, but Syracuse is in the 300s and KenPom and tempo. Is there something you have to tell your guys or remind your guys about playing in that type of style, or even trying to speed that up?
Well, I think we learned something from the Virginia game in terms of what that looks like, and I thought at times we got the pace where we wanted to go, and we're not going to not do what we do, and we're going to try to continue to play with a little bit of pace, and that doesn't mean shoot it quick. That means take great shots, but take our opportunities if we get stops, and make sure we push that ball, and that's what we've done in every single game, and want to try to do the same thing again here.
Coach, for Syracuse, Joe Girard, he's been around Syracuse for a little while. He's a three-point threat. He's able to lead the offense. What do you see out of him and your guys' approach to slowing him down?
Yeah, Joe's a really good player. They run a lot of actions to him. They run a lot of put him on pin downs, put him off baseline screens. He's got the ultimate green light. He's a guy that, again, knows how to score, knows how to get a shot. He knows how to find a shot. He's got a great knack for getting fouled. He plays and uses his body. So you've got to be really solid on him. You got to make his touches more difficult. You got to understand that he's a priority in what they try to do, and he's a guy that I think as Richmond found out, he had 30 plus, and he's a handful when he gets going.
Yeah, you see guys on the team like Edwards and Girard. You kind of expect them to be factors in the offensive game, especially. But then you see guys like Justin Taylor just had 25 points last game against Bryant. How much more dynamic does that make their team in terms of sources of scoring?
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid that we call him net strippers. He's a guy that can really, really shoot it, and Bryant was an NCAA tournament team. That's a good basketball team that they just played. He comes off the bench, and I'm sure he has earned more minutes. And you've got to be very conscious of taking up his space. And not letting him get clean looks. And again, he's a guy that I remember watching, on the circuit, and he gets a clean look, he's going to make it. And those guys you've always got to gravitate to and know where they're at all the time.
What response have you seen out of Sky after Friday's performance, and what do you want to see carry over this week in a big stretch for you guys?
Yeah, he's making great decisions. He's not he's being aggressive without being selfish or overly assertive. He's kind of found the right mix, looking for his opportunities when they're there. Not being afraid to drive it in, not being afraid to pull up and shoot it, not being afraid to they go under, shoot a three. I think we've got 3 guys on our team averaging 3 threes a game, 3 attempts a game. And he's when that happens, it's opened up our interior. It's opened up our ability to drive the ball. And he's found that nice mix.
Don't you, big picture wise, I'll give you a chance to plug your league. What do you make of the early success of the Big Ten teams in this pre-conference schedule?
Yeah, I don't think it's any surprise to any of the coaches. I think that it was very easy to get automatically just say, well, the league's going to be down because we had so many draft picks last year, and we had 9 teams in the tournament, and we had all these guys go in the top 15 of the draft or top 20 of the draft, and the departures make it look, oh wow, the league's going to be down. But it's proven otherwise. I thought it was always pretty foolish that anybody who didn't have Purdue in obviously doesn't know the impact of Zach Edey at 7'4", and what that does to a basketball game. They proved that this week, and there was the obvious Indiana's. But Maryland's playing as good and maybe is as good as anybody in this conference. You go right on down the list, Penn State, what they're doing offensively, and everybody's good. I don't know. I watched Nebraska. That's a much better basketball team, and so I don't know anybody in this league that's bad. Nebraska or Northwestern, I think 7th in the country in DER. Should have beat Auburn. So it's a great league as always. I don't expect it to ever be anything but that. Great coaches, great players, and great facilities, and great fan bases, and so I'm not shocked.
I guess you're back to maybe a typical schedule now that the break's over. How do you maybe want your guys to maybe take what they did well last week when you could go 2-a-days and maybe put that into the more regular schedule?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be more efficient in our practices in terms of not having 2-a-days, but understanding what the purpose of practice is every day. That's one of the challenges we've had with this group. We just separated offense and defense for a couple of days, and now we've got to combine them, and we got to understand, okay, scouting report, we've got to understand, we're emphasizing turnovers, we're emphasizing rebounding, understand what every practice has a main agenda to it, even when we're prepping for somebody. But it's every day. We just got to continue to get better. We've got to keep it simple. Now that we've got kind of a Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Saturday, 2-game a week type situation, we've got to be able to handle that and know that practice is still about getting better. And league play is quickly upon us, and we got a great challenge tomorrow in the ACC Challenge. So, they're for real from here on out.
In Syracuse last game, things got a little chippy, a few ejections. Have you talked to your team at all about how Syracuse may be coming in with extra motivation?
I would think they're going to be motivated. Jim's teams always play hard. I think every game's got its own identity, and we haven't talked to our group about it, and probably will not. We just got to go out and play, keep our composure, do what we do, and handle ourselves in the appropriate manner.
And then Coach Boeheim, he's been around for so long. Who knows when he's going to retire? What has he meant to the game of basketball, college basketball? Just hit his 1,000th win for the second time in his career. Just what has he meant to college basketball?
Well, I admire him, and I admire longevity. And longevity at one institution, to me, is really special. I think it's so hard to do. It's so easy for administrations, fan bases, whoever. But to find a level of success and be able to do that over the course of time, to have the success. I mean, you don't win 1,000+ games because you're a bad coach. You know what you're doing. You know how to motivate. You know how to teach. So, I think everybody that's watched his career understands what a good teacher he is, what a good motivator he is, and that's been evident by his ability to win basketball games.
That you were harder on him than maybe anybody else had ever been. Has that dynamic changed in the sense that he's more self-sufficient now on kind of keeping his own game in check?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned that right. He's been through it. That's kind of the maturation process with me. You've got to, you kind of got to pay your dues, and especially when you're not doing things right, or you're struggling, but now he's a different person. He's a more mature player. I think he's got a better understanding of what works and doesn't, and I use the word trigger. His triggers for us offensively are usually very, very correct. I mean, they're very spot on. He sees the game at a different level than most. So, I become a little more patient with that as he's become more consistent in everything else that he's doing on and off the court.
Yeah, a question that was alluded to earlier about some of the Big Ten teams already seeing some success early in the season. Does that make your guys any hungrier to see that same success as they head into this harder stretch of the season? I
think we've had a little. I'm not shying away from the UCLA win in any stretch. That's, I don't know, what were they, top 10? Were they top 10 when we played them? 8. Yeah, I mean, we're going to play a hard schedule regardless. So, we would have loved to have the Virginia win, but right now we weren't ready for that, or we didn't get it, and yet this is the next opportunity, and the other team's success is well applauded, and I'm the biggest fan of everybody in this conference. I want them to succeed, because it is truly the best league in the country. So. It's great for our league, but yet I'm not overly concerned with what everybody else is doing until the 48 hours before when we have to play them.
I think Luke's still a few weeks away from his reevaluation based on what you'd originally said. He's ditched the crutches. Do you know when you can maybe hopefully ditch the boot, and how that lines up going forward?
I don't ask those questions. He gets in the. We got that new fancy, what do you call that thing with a treadmill in the pool type deal? I don't know what you would call those things. I didn't have those when I was growing up. So, but I'm a big cold tub guy. So I was sitting in the cold tub the other day when he was actually on the treadmill in the pool, doing some exercises, but he's going to do everything he can possibly do, and to stay on course or try to get ahead if that's possible. So I don't even know I just know they keep telling me he's doing great.
Seems like you'll get some opportunities to shoot over top of the zone. Are you happy with the way the team's been shooting the 3 ball? And are there some specific players you think that this creates an opportunity for?
Well, I'm never very happy. I want them to all go in. Yeah, you're gonna miss some shots. You're gonna make some shots, and you're gonna get opportunities, and you got to find the right balance against it, and ball movement and opportunities when they're there. We're like I said, I think the one thing we've been doing is we've got a lot of guys who can take them. We got a lot of guys who can make them. We're getting RJ going, getting Matt going, two of our better shooters, no doubt. I felt great about their looks the other night. So, we've got to, you're going to have to make some against Syracuse. There's no doubt.
You've identified Luke as one of the more vocal guys on the team. Are you still getting that from him, even though he's sidelined? Is he able to provide that in any capacity? Very
much during games. It's and even some during practices. A lot of times during practice, Fletch will take him to the weight room and lift. Or he's doing some sort of recovery during that time. But very much. He's still very, very engaged with everything we do. He's there every single day. He's in every film session. So he's very, very dialed into everything that's going on with this group. See you tomorrow.